On this episode of Watch Culture, we're going to be talking about The Last Unicorn. And I just realized I had my headphones on, so that's going to be in the video. Alright, we're back for another episode of Watch Culture, the show where we give you recommendations on movies you should watch. Today, I'm talking about the 1982 animated movie, The Last Unicorn. This is one of my favorite animated classics, and yes, I realize that does date me given that it's from the 80s, but I'm an 80s baby, so be it. This is one of those movies where when you hear about it, you might realize that it has a lot of great actors in it, but I want you to consider the fact that not only does it have great actors in it, but it is a fantastically written story on top of that. So what I mean by that is this movie is about a unicorn, obviously, who is living in a forest far away from mankind and learns to be part of the human world because she ventures out, and as a consequence, she's transformed by a witch who is played by Angela Lansbury, or rather voiced by Angela Lansbury, which is kind of cool. And the reason why the last unicorn goes out into the world is she's lonely, and it's a very strong theme in the movie of loneliness and what love is and what it means to be part of something greater than yourself. This movie is at times crudely animated, but I think that it can be forgiven of that fact, like I said, because the story is so compelling. Alan Arkin plays the lead wizard, who's actually not a real wizard, but he later finds out that he does have magic abilities. The guy's called Schmendrick, which I think is like a lingo for a fool in Jewish culture. So, which is kind of funny. Or it's like a blundering burglar or something like that, which is awesome. On top of that, Christopher Lee plays the villain, who Christopher Lee, come on. He's done so many great villains over the years, like Saruman, and he was in Star Wars, and he played Dracula, among other things. So that's something to consider too. And on top of that, Mia Farrow voices the unicorn, and you get to see Jeff Bridges in there too, like early Jeff Bridges, like 1980s. Like Jeff Bridges is an amazing actor. Don't get me wrong; he's in lots of great movies, lots of my favorite movies, in fact. But a young Jeff Bridges playing a prince is kind of cool too. And another reason why I really like this movie is it is underrated in terms of the narrative too. Like how the story moves along is very subtle. So if you have seen movies like Flight of the Dragons or The Hobbit, the animators and the directors of those films, Jules Blace and Arthur Ranginger, those guys were the directors of those films as well. And again, those are classic 1980s animated films. I mean, we're talking about traditionally drawn animated, not the stuff we see today where it's 3D. And there's nothing wrong with those kinds of films. I love those films too. But if you really want to see a great 2D animated movie, like in the line of, Princess Mononoke, or if you want to see something like Heavy Metal, or something like Cowboy Bebop, those are all Japanese animated films, which are fantastic. For an American animated film, you can't beat The Last Unicorn. And there's a couple other really fun things in there. If you've ever read Alice in Wonderland, there's a reference to Lewis Carroll's comment about why is a raven like a writing desk, and one of the characters tries to answer it, which is kind of funny. And on top of that, it's just like very heartwarming. I don't know how, I can't express how heartwarming it is because people, okay, so negative reviews of what the movie said. If you were born in the 80s, you'll of course say how it was great because it's from the 80s, but if you watch the movie and you're not born in that period or before that period, I think you'll see what I mean when I say the narrative is really strong, because it holds up as a film, not just as a children's film. So I can't say much more about the movie without revealing a lot about the content. So just take a look at it. It's very poetic. It's very beautifully made. It's very beautifully animated. If I said a little bit crude at times. And this is Watch Culture. Watch this movie. Thanks for watching.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Crosstalk. My name's Mike, and today we're going to discuss why the cinematic masterpiece that is Armageddon is an instant classic. Point 1, Michael Bay. Oh, hey Chris. Ah! No!
Rising. That's right. I'm listening to The Last Unicorn in preparation
For the last unicorn.
for The Last Unicorn.
Okay. Directed by, starring. Got IMDb rating and Rotten Tomatoes. That's probably enough to get me going.
This is definitely a movie of the 80s.